give you guys enough time to get those bets in for the primetime games. And that's what we do here on the Drive-Thru, Monday through Friday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. To Live Free Sports Picks, beginning at 7 p.m. Eastern Time and later. And deliver those winners, our professional handicappers over at Pick Dogs and at Sports Chat Play. So let's take a peek at who's on the show with us for today. All right, with us, Millz Young with us. Shane Mickle, Big Eye McMordie, Kirk Stuart. Also, Wayne Scott will sign in a little later on this evening. Here's the other lineup: McMordie, Mickle, Young, Scott, and I'll close this one out. Kirk Stuart will lead us off today on the show. All right, we got a couple baseball games in prime time. We're going to do some season win totals for you as well. We got the CFL game as well. Got a pick there from you as well. Olympic basketball and UFC. We'll get to the baseball toward the end of the show. Let's go to welcome in right now Kirk Stuart. You can catch him over at Pick Dogs Premium. We'll bring him in right now. Some Olympic basketball coverage from Kirk. I think we're ready to roll here in just a second. Did I go too far on this board? A lot of cappers here on the show. Here we go, Kirk. What's happening?
Not much. How you doing?
Doing great. All right, here we go. Olympic basketball. The tournament begins on a Friday morning, our time. Even Friday morning in France, as they're going to be playing games early. Got to mix in the men and the women in there. It's a big tournament. All right, Kirk. But you're going to be looking at this one a little differently. You're going to be looking at the MVP for this Olympic Games.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking at it, if you want to bet the U.S., they're minus 400 to win it all. I don't think there's any value there at all. If you want to look for the U.S. to win, I would look at LeBron James here at MVP at plus 320. I'm getting it right now at FanDuel. I mean, we've seen what LeBron has done in these last two games against South Sudan and against Germany. Without him, they probably go 1-1 or even 0-2 in those games. So for LeBron to step up and all his teammates to say it's crazy he's doing this at 45 or whatever you want to say, he's not actually 45, but he's really been their guy the whole tournament, and they kind of need a guy that's stepping up because these games have been way too close. And I mean, he's the flag bearer of the U.S., first basketball player to ever carry that honor. So I think if the U.S. win, LeBron's going to be the MVP of this tournament. So I got to go with LeBron at MVP at plus 320. I think these odds are too good to be passed up right now.
All right, Kirk here on LeBron James here. Olympic basketball MVP plus 320. Of course, LeBron trying to salvage this season like the last 3 years. Kind of disappointing here for the Lakers. Is there some sort of legacy you think to add on a mantle here for LeBron because of the past 3 seasons where things have kind of gone rough for the Lakers? He's getting up there close to 40 years old. Early playoff exit gives him plenty of rest here for this tournament.
Yeah, and I mean, I definitely think with the early exit, it's really helped him. I mean, he looks great. He looks like he hasn't missed a beat. And, I mean, Tatum hasn't looked that good. The guys that really made long playoff runs, I can't say they've played great. I mean, Holiday's been their glue guy, and I love Drew Holiday, and every team needs a player like him. But LeBron's the leader of this team. He's the leader of the nation, as he is the flag bearer. So I think this is legacy for him and Steph, and probably Durant as well, as it'll probably be his last one. So those three guys, they're going to go win it for them, I think.
We saw that in the South Sudan game when they needed a bucket. Who did they go to? They went to LeBron, and it's going to be very tough to defend him in these games, one-on-one.
Yeah, I mean, against Germany, he went right at Franz Wagner at the end of the game. He gave them the go-ahead bucket and then the and one, I think. There was no foul, but a nice bucket also. So he took the game over when they needed to. I mean, they have 10 guys that can take the game over when they need to, but who's going to be that guy in crunch time when they really need a bucket? It's proven to be LeBron, and I don't think anyone really would come close to this MVP if the U.S. wins. Maybe Steph, but he hasn't really shown me too much. LeBron's been there both sides of the ball. He made some key blocks in that Germany game as well. So he's human highlight reel right now, honestly.
If they double team him, who do they open, right? That's what you got to wonder about the defensive strategy, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you can really double team anyone because any of these guys can make you.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Of course, in the Olympic Games, a lot of these teams can make threes, and you're going to see a lot of these teams against the U.S. Figuring, hey, 3 is better than 2. Maybe in this situation, 3 might be easier than 2, trying to get inside of the U.S.
Yeah, no, and I think it's tougher. I see why the South Sudan game was hard. They don't have a lot of NBA guys. They have 2 fringe guys. I don't even know if Wenyan Gabriel's still in the league. I think JT Thor's still on the Hornets. But you don't really know much about the rest of their team. And with a team like Serbia, they beat them by a lot. But South Sudan, they don't know any of these players. They've barely been scouted. So I think it kind of makes sense why that was a harder game for them, just because they've never played any of those guys. And I mean, when guys you don't know what they can do, and I don't think any of the coaching staff really prepared for South Sudan. Oh, it's going to be a cakewalk of a game. So now they really had to wake up. I think they had those tests, and I think they go in strong and get another convincing win against Serbia.
Now looking for Serbia, yeah, we see that line here. 13 here and open. Of course, Kerr made some statements here. We got to come out strong. You don't want to be chasing any teams in group play or even late stages. It's dangerous because of those threes can fall.
Yeah, no, especially in Serbia. They know they have the talent. They have Jokic. They have a lot of other guys that play in the NBA, play in very competitive leagues around the world. So I think they'll come out strong. I think they definitely cover that spread. I'm interested to see what the spread will be against South Sudan though in this group stage. I don't think it'll be 43.5 again.
No, not actually. We've seen, matter of fact, the Puerto Rico to South Sudan line. That one moved a little bit because I believe Puerto Rico was favorite in this one, and now we see South Sudan in the Sunday early morning game, 2 a.m., 5 a.m. Eastern, laying a 1.5 against Puerto Rico.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a really interesting game. I don't think either of these teams really has a chance against Serbia. If Serbia's on and they utilize Jokic how they should, I don't think either of these teams has a chance to really win either of these other two games. But, I mean, to say you came home with an Olympic win, especially for the South Sudan team, would be very big. So I got to do a little more research on this Puerto Rico team, but I think this is going to be a really good first matchup between the two.
Yeah, that's made their own shot to get a win. It's this one right here when they go head-to-head. Puerto Rico used to be a medal contending team back in the day, but now we've seen the European teams kind of take over. Speaking of European games, this game kind of draws my interest a little bit. Spain and Australia. Spain has a tendency of getting players in the NBA. We've seen Australia. We've seen great teams getting recruited for those St. Mary's teams. This one is a competitive line here. This is the Saturday early game at 5 a.m. Eastern. Spain laying 5 in this one.
Yeah, I'm looking at this one a little differently. I probably wouldn't go into the full game total. I would probably look at a Josh Giddey prop here. I think him going to Chicago, it really has boosted him already. We've seen him when he played the U.S. in that friendly. He was really all over the place. I would go on the Josh Giddey over in points in this one. I would even maybe sprinkle on a triple-double for Josh Giddey in this one. I mean, he's had a lot in the NBA, and he just looks like a new player already, even though he hasn't played with the Bulls yet. He just looks like he's been freed, he's happy, and yeah, I mean, I think that's how I would attack that game. I haven't watched Spain play yet in any of the exhibition matches, but I know Josh Giddey, he's a good player.
Yeah, and these teams could be dangerous when you get into the knockout stages. That's interesting to watch some of these games out of the group play here. Another one here, Brazil and France. Of course, France, the home team, will have the home crowd. You know, Brazil is a team back in the day used to produce a lot of NBA stars. I think a lot of the European player teams now are starting to produce these players. France, the home team, laid 9.5.
Yeah, I think I would have to go with France in this one, just with them having Wemby and Gobert. I mean, that's pretty tough to score on them inside. And yeah, as you said in the past, I mean, that the Brazil team back in the day with like Leandro Barbosa and all those guys, they were a really good team. They were very competitive. Now I think, as you said, the European teams are kind of taking that over. And with it being a home game for France, first game of the Olympics for them, I think they're going to come out and win this one by double digits.
There you go. And, of course, another competitive game here, Canada and Greece. This one will go off at 3 Eastern time on Saturday. Greece will be the dog here. Yes, that's right. Giannis the dog. Canada laying 7 in this one.
I think this line should definitely be favored more for Canada. I mean, Greece, they have a couple players besides Giannis, but this Canada team's too good. I think SGA may be the better player over Giannis. I'm not gonna don't catch me on record for that, but I think SGA is gonna win the MVP next year in the NBA. So I'm really high on this guy, and they have guys that can do it all. You need someone to score. You go to Jamal Murray, SGA. You need a defensive stop. You can put Lou Dort on their best guy. They have Kelly Olynyk and Dwight Powell, who can really make an impact. And I think this team is just overall a lot better. So I think Canada definitely covers this by more than 7, especially because Greece had trouble getting into this Olympics, and we're in the final spot playoff.
11:15 Eastern time Saturday. Well, if you spent time in Germany, they have a shock of last year. Germany going to be laying 18 against Japan.
Yeah. 18's a lot. 18's a lot, especially first game of the tournament. I do think they're capable of doing. I think just 18's too much. Japan has a couple players. I think Watanabe's still on that squad who have some NBA experience. So I don't remember who they played last year in the World Cup, but they gave, I think, Germany a pretty tight game or someone like that. I think 18's too much. I'll probably will roll with Japan in this one.
There you go. Got me a little preview there for the Saturday games. Some competitive games here. I think this is going to be a really good Olympics here. A lot of the European teams, Spain, Australia in there, France, Brazil, Canada, Greece. I'm looking forward to the Saturday card. I know we get to Sunday with the U.S. group, but that Saturday card looks pretty interesting to keep an eye on. As again, you're kind of looking for these teams that will battle the U.S. as we get into the knockout stages. Kirk here on LeBron James to win the MVP, plus 320. All right, Kirk, let's take a look over at Pick Document for tonight's action. Of course, just a couple on the board for Major League Baseball. A lot of day action on the travel day. What do you have going over at the site?
Yeah, I actually only got a 1-pack. I have my MLB play of the day and one of the 2 later games tonight. Yeah, I already got 2 picks up for tomorrow. I'm really liking tomorrow night's slate already for the MLB. I'll probably have a 3-pack up for that. And yeah, not too much. Maybe I'll throw some picks on for the Olympics, but I'll probably wait till after the first round of games to really see how these teams come out. As we've seen the U.S., they've been favored 43 points and won by 1. So I want to see how they come out, and other teams as well. So pretty much an MLB weekend for me, I'd say.
All right, guys, got to run with Kirk over at Pick Dog Stream. It's Christmas in July, so that 1-year-old pass has been reduced considerably, and you can also apply the promo code PICK at checkout to save that 15% off. And of course, Kirk covers more than just the major sports. He gets into soccer, gets into some of the fringe sports out there, even to the props. So you get your money's worth when you get on board with a 1-year-old sports pass with Kirk. All right, Kirk, as always, great having you show. Have a great night. We'll catch up with you possibly tomorrow.
Yeah, thank you. I'll be here tomorrow. Talk to you tomorrow. You
got it. Kirk Stuart here on the drive-thru. Let's continue here on the show, guys. Next up, we're going to bring in Big Al McMordie. We got some CFL action. Yes, there is CFL Thursday through Sunday as they go back to single games here for this week. So we'll bring in a Big Al McMordie. Big Al, what's going on?
Not much, Tony. How are you doing?
Doing great. All right, here we go. We're going to the CFL tonight as we've got Montreal hosting Saskatchewan. We've seen this line move from 4 to 4.5. There are a few 4s out there, total 48.5.
Did it not come down to 3.5? I see 3s across the board right now.
3s? Okay. I'm
yeah, it's
some
like 3 at
now.
Circa,
okay.
3 at DraftKings. Anyway, so I guess a lot of people watching probably don't follow the CFL, so I'll dumb it down for some folks. So the Montreal Alouettes won the Grey Cup championship last year, and then they also won their first 5 games to start this season, but then they lost their starting quarterback, Cody Fajardo, in their previous game against Toronto, and then they fell in that game. They were a 6-point home favorite, and they ended up losing 37-18. So that was their first loss of the year. Fajardo was replaced in that game by Caleb Evans, and Caleb Evans is a huge step down from Fajardo. When you look at Evans's career statistics in the CFL, it's unbelievable. He's actually thrown more interceptions than he's completed touchdown passes. He's got 22 interceptions against just 15 touchdown passes. He averages just 7.22 yards per pass attempt. So I'm not, I don't want any part of Montreal, in this game, and especially not as a favorite. I'm well aware that they're coming into this game with a week of rest. And the Rough Riders, of course, played last week. And generally speaking, that is an advantage for the rest of the team in the CFL. But all the profit for the rest of the team is centered when they are an underdog. And when the rest of the team is favored, as Montreal is, then all that profit goes away. And they've actually burned a little bit of money over the last 18 years. So I wouldn't, be too concerned with the fact that they've had 2 weeks to prepare for this game. Then also, if you take a look at how defending Grey Cup champions do, They do really well as underdogs. They do horribly as favorites. Of course, this team's now laying 3.5. So we're going to grab the points with the underdog here.
All right, Big Al McMordie here with the dog. You can find a 4 at Bet Online, by the way. So if you do your line
Yeah.
shop, there's a 4, but again, 3.5, but it's moving. So you better move quickly on this one, as Big Al here on the Saskatchewan here, plus the 4 in this spot. I won't go off the topic here for CFL, going back to the Olympic sports. You kind of follow it as a fan. I know the basketball got a little more interesting with with the improvement of these players from Europe.
No, I quit following the Olympics when the pros began to play. At that point, I didn't give a shit.
I see.
And it's been like 30 some years since I've cared about the Olympics.
There you go, from Big Al McMordie here.
Because it's not. I mean, it's not interesting to me. To watch a USA team, as we saw, they didn't have point spreads back in the day, but 45-point favorite. That's just uninteresting.
All right, there you go, from Big Al here.
Sorry.
No. I'm just interesting, just to get your perspective here. Obviously, this would be more from a fan perspective, right? And betting, I don't know if obviously with the database.
Yeah, no, but I mean, like I said, I can't be a fan when these games aren't I'll watch other, events. I'll watch, ice skating or other interesting things that are competitive, but I'm not watching basketball.
That's on your radar. Speaking of, obviously, back in the day, you're a fan of the boxing?
Oh, God. I've never been a big boxing
Never
fan.
Big boxing?
No.
And actually, never mentioned, haven't talked too much about UFC. Any thoughts with this sport, how its popularities?
Yeah, I mean, it's never been on my list of things to watch. I'm more of a football and basketball guy than anything else. So.
Gotcha.
And
of course, whether it's spring or summer or into the fall, there's plenty of football now.
Yeah.
All right. Big Al here on Saskatchewan +4 against Montreal tonight. CFL action. All right, Big Al, let's take a look over at Pick.com. Just 2 on the board tonight here from Major League Baseball. Of course, Big Al enjoying a great 2024. We got great, it's July, Christmas July, we have going over the site.
Yeah, I mean, folks really need to get on board for any of the handicappers here at Pick Dogs for the Christmas in July, because the deals are just unbelievable. I mean, for myself, I've knocked off $500 for the annual package. For the folks who are winding down last year's Christmas in July, when they got on board, last July. So for over the previous 12 months, I'm up 46.15 net gain. So if you're betting $1,000 flat on every play, you'd be up after the juice, you'd be up $46,000. So it's well worth it. So I do invite folks to get on board today, because that offer is going to expire in a couple days, and you save $500. And as you mentioned, Tony, even more if you use the code PICK at checkout. So it's a great bargain. As far as today goes over at Pick Dogs, I've got one play posted. It's an over-under play. And yes, did you see Dylan Cease threw a no-hitter?
Yeah. He's got it, huh?
Yeah.
Yep, for the San Diego Padres, they got it in there again. So I was kind of I was trying to get that Nationals team home, but again, I know a lot of folks fade like Corbin, but man, you're not going to go for Cease like that performance. Cease, just unbelievable. My money was on that Tampa Bay today. That's a game I was.
Oh well, that was a rocking chair win.
That was rocking chair win. It's easier to win when they're up that high. I just seem to be more. I just like to the bask in the positive glory of watching a blowout game. Watch it to the very end, the last pitch. It's cool not having
congratulations.
It's cool not having to sweat a game.
Yeah, I prefer the nail biters. I prefer winning, with 3 runs in the bottom of the 11th or something.
Oh goodness, yes, that's baseball for you, right? What do you think about? Well, man, interesting because with your database and the stats, I don't know if you've tracked it, but these extra inning games, has it impacted? Have we seen the impact on the totals a little bit, or with these run lines coming in when you start runners on second base?
I've mentioned in the past, my database is just football and basketball.
Right.
It's not baseball. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So, but I would imagine that there is an impact in that as well. So.
Have you studied much of the rule changes in the NFL with this kickoff? I don't know if you've looked too much into it.
No, with the way I do things, Tony, rule changes don't really matter, to be honest with you, because with how I do things, everything gets baked into the cake. Either it all gets incorporated into the point spread or the over/under number, and So it all gets baked in. So the rule changes don't really impact things one way or the other.
There you go.
We saw that. What was the thing that everyone was going crazy about? Last year.
Clock, the college football.
The clock, the NBA.
Yeah,
the college football. Right.
College football doesn't stop on first downs. The rolling clock on first downs.
And I remember at the start of the season, I said it'll all come out on the wash, and it did.
Yeah. So. Yeah. No doubt about that. All right, Big Al. Have yourself a great evening, and we'll actually catch up with you again tomorrow when we have a bigger menu.
Yeah, I'll be here tomorrow. So you're going to add me in. We have an opening tomorrow?
Yeah, we have an opening tomorrow. Yep, we do.
Okay, I'll talk to you tomorrow. That's awesome. Thanks.
You got it. Big Al McMordie here on the Drive Thru. Let's continue here on the show, guys. We're going to get some more coverage here. We got college football coming up here. Next, we'll bring in Shane Mickle. You can catch him over at Pick Dogs Premium. We'll be looking at college football. Shane, what's happening?
How's it going tonight, Tony?
It's going great. It's going great as every day winds down. We've got some Olympics to look forward to. We'll take us right in the start of college football and NFL preseason, so I can't complain. This time, every 4 years, you get that little, it's a little bit of excitement. It's not such a dead summer. But now we're going to be looking here at college football. You got a team you're going to look at. We got a team you'll be looking tonight here from the Big 12.
Yeah, it's not even a homer pick. I'm going to go with the Kansas Jayhawks here. Just based on the stats, this is probably one of my favorite totals of any team in college football. When you look at Kansas, they have Jalen Daniels back at quarterback, maybe one of the best quarterbacks in the Big 10. They have for Big 12. They have Devin Neal at running back. Maybe the best running back in the Big 12. And then they have 4 senior wide receivers to lead the wide receiver room. This is a veteran-led team. On defense, they have Kobe Bryant. Of course, their defense is not as strong as their offense, but their defense does do a good job of creating turnovers, especially in key moments. And I think they're going to find success. The one big concern you have to have is Jalen Daniels for health. Yeah. He's been hurt the last couple of years. Last year, back injury basically knocked him out the entire season. It sounds like he's healthy. Every couple of weeks there's grumblings that come out that he might not be healthy, but you look good at Big 12 media days. He says he's ready to go. And they, this Big 12 team is not, this Big 12 conference schedule is not the same as years past. No Oklahoma, no Texas. And then if you look at the favorites for the Big 12, the only team that they play that's above them in this, in terms of favorites is Kansas State. They avoid Oklahoma State. They avoid Arizona, which I think is going to really help their schedule. Of course, they play Colorado. I'm not high on that Colorado team at all this year. I think that Colorado team's still a mess, but their schedule's favorable. I think the only thing that really derails the season for the Jayhawks is an injury to Jalen Daniels, which, I guess is probably an actual concern because of the injuries he's had the last few seasons. But at 8, I don't know how you don't go over. I'm going to take the over 8 wins with the Jayhawks.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there. Over 8 wins. Of course, they do avoid the favorite to win the Big 12, and that's Utah. Utah was about a $3 favorite, and the second favorite, if I recall, was actually Kansas State, and I think Oklahoma State was the next one in there. So 2 of the top 3 favorites avoid that team in their schedule. They do got to go to Kansas State, and of course, it's always tricky going into West Virginia. They get them. That's when they kick off conference play.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, the West Virginia game will be tricky, and I do think the Illinois game could be a little tricky on paper. They're the better team, but that's going to be Illinois' first. I think that's their first real game against a real opponent. But I think they find success there. They should come out of that Lindenwood game's
Lindenwood.
A layup. Yeah, the only other concern I do have about this Kansas team is they're playing at Arrowhead, the stadium. They're playing at they're playing at Sporting KC Stadium for the first 2 games, and then they against UNLV and Lindenwood, and then they go to Arrowhead. But it sounds like they're going to be busing, the student section from Lawrence to Kansas City. I think that helps the atmosphere. But Kansas has never really been known to have a real home field advantage, anyways, in terms of the fans. So I think that'll be okay. But yeah, I think. With the way the schedule lines up and with the way that this offense can put up, they put up 45 points against this UNLV team last year to end the bowl season with Jason being, the guy who was thinking about going to Rice last season to be their quarterback. So, This team's going to score at will against anyone that they want. The question is, will the defense make the stops?
It's interesting to note here the three longest shots, actually the longest shots here to win the Big 12 title game are all on Kansas' schedule. West Virginia, TCU, Colorado, Baylor, Cincinnati, Arizona State, Houston, BYU. Let me check Cincinnati. They may not be. No, they're not. But 7 of the 8 longest shots on the board, with BYU being 120 to 1, Houston 11 plus 11,000, Arizona plus 10,000. These teams are big long shots, and 7 of the 8 of the longest shots on the board are on the schedule of Kansas.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there is a real path this season for the Kansas Jayhawks to make the Big 12 championship game, especially with no conferences. It's just the top 2 teams from the conference make it in. I mean, when you get that type of schedule, I mean, especially with as much senior leadership as they have, I'm not saying the door's closing because Lance Leipold can definitely recruit, but I mean, this is really their chance. I mean, it's been a quick rebuild, but I mean, they need to cash in on this season.
Yep, no doubt about that. Especially avoiding the favorites here. Utah, we did say Oklahoma State was the 3rd favorite. UCF was the 4th favorite. So 3 of the top 4 favorites in the conference they avoid. With only Kansas State that one in there, and even UCF almost 10 to 1. So, but this Big 12 it looks to me a bit wide open when your favorite is almost 3.5 to 1 with Utah, and second favorite about 4 to 1.
It for sure wide open. Even those long shots. I mean, this isn't the Big Ten where the terrible teams at the bottom are terrible. I mean, that BYU team could probably still win 3 conference games.
Yeah.
You're going to see a lot of at the end of the season. You're going to see a lot of conference teams sitting right around 500, trying to get that bowl game in that last week.
Yeah, I had to do a little bit more work. I'm baffled that BYU is the longest shot on the board to win the Big 12 title. They're ranked to be the last in the Big 12. That's got me a little shocked there.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I mean, because when it comes to college basketball season with Arizona, this conference is now a basketball. I mean, it's always been a basketball conference, but even more now, it's a basketball conference, and they've got to decide. Is that where they're going to continue to make their money? Is basketball, or are they going to try to get a couple more football schools in? Because the schools they brought in, it's not like the Big 12. We brought in USC and UCLA. I mean, UCLA we talked about down year, for sure. But I mean, those are football schools. I mean, now more than ever, especially with Oklahoma and Texas gone, this is a basketball conference.
Yep. But the only shining star there is Utah, which had some success recently, but not over the course of their time in the Pac-12. It came very late in the cycle there. But Utah's basketball program has gone the opposite direction as a football program.
Their basketball program the last couple of years has gone downhill quickly.
Yeah, especially on the road. Just the defense on the road, just Troy. They were just a fade material there on the road. But anyway, Shane here on Kansas over 8 wins, college football season win total. All right, Shane, let's take a look over at Pick Dodge Premium. Of course, 2 on the board for Major League Baseball today. It is Christmas in July. What do you have going on over at the site?
Yeah, I only have one. I really did not like this baseball slate today, and I'm glad I stayed away because the 2 leans I had did not find success. So I only have 1 game up there today that's off the board. But like you said, Christmas in July, no better time to hop on a long-term pass. In terms of premium plays, I guess we kind of are in the lull when you consider it's just basically baseball. WNBA is off the board. But I think once these opening rounds of the Olympics are over for the women and men, I'll probably start putting a few premium plays up there so you can look for those too. So no better time to hop on a 7 or 30-day pass. College football, we're doing the previews, and it's almost here. Training camp is kicking off. The Vikings already lost their starting quarterback to an ACL injury.
Yeah.
So, I mean, college football and NFL are almost here. So, no better time to hop on that long-term pass.
That's right, guys. Get that long-term pass with Shane Mickle. 1-year all sports pass, greatly reduced right now. You can also apply the promo code PICK at checkout. Save that 50% off. Of course, Shane is a writer for Pick Dog Sports Chat. Shane, you cover a lot of the major sports that you post premium plays on. Let them know about your writing. Of course, you're really into this, obviously into the numbers here. Right now, even looking into the college football, NFL, getting ready for the season.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, college football, NFL, busy season for writers just around the corner. Make sure to, like we just said, baseball is basically what's going on, but we're covering the Olympics over there. I've got, I've covered the United States soccer team, and once the first round games are going to over, I will start covering all the soccer games. And then me and Randy are splitting all the basketball games, women and men, over on Pick Dog. So if you're looking for Olympic coverage on those games, I know we'll probably get those plays up here too on the drive-through. But if you're looking for written coverage on every one of those games, make sure to check out Pick Dogs and then also Sports Chat Plays.
That's right, guys. Written work there, men's and women's Olympic basketball on the websites. And written work from Shane and the gang over there at Pick Dogs. You can check them out there and get those picks. Looking forward to that Saturday card. Saturday card looks really good here. Of course, that's not the U.S. That is not the U.S. group, but the rest of the teams that are playing, those will definitely be the U.S. will definitely be seeing these teams during the knockout stages. All right, Shane, have a great night, and we'll catch up with you again next week.
All right, sounds good. Have a good weekend, everyone. Enjoy the Olympics.
Yeah.
I'm a little different. I love the Olympics, so I'm so excited for these next couple weeks.
I am too. I mean, I'm really jacked here for this basketball tournament, men and women. I always liked boxing. I grew up watching the Olympic boxing, right? The great Sugar Ray Leonard, Oscar De Hoya, a lot of these great fighters that fought in the Olympics. Evander Holyfield. So I'm looking forward to all the sports. And I don't know if we got to expand it. There's just too many sports. I mean, right now we got the soccer starting 3 days before the opening ceremonies. We even got this rugby going, so they might have to expand it more.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, basically, and flag football is coming soon. So any sport that you can imagine, it's basically. I was watching a TikTok, and there's this new event where they put the rowers, like they push them off this incline, and then they race through the pad. Or I don't know much about rowing, but one thing you have to do before you do a finish line is do a 360 barrel roll. So I was like, that sounds interesting.
That sounds interesting to me. Wow. All right, we'll see what's happening.
I guess they just dream up everything. So.
Yep. Well, they're trying to get those X Games, those X Game influences there, trying to get some X winner. Or I don't know, actually summer sport rowing. Yeah, trying to get some X Game, entry there. No doubt about that. Yeah, it's a big history there. 3-on-3 basketball. So I think Barry's younger son is a part of the U.S. team in the 3-on-3 men. So it's something else that's new out there as well. All right, Shane, have a great night. We'll catch up with you again next week.
All right, sounds good. Have a good weekend, everyone.
Shane Mickle here on the drive-thru. Let's continue on. We got UFC coverage, pay-per-view, big fights card coming up. I know. Millz is there's some fights right now going as we speak, so Millz is trying to keep an eye on those as well. But we're going to get him here just for this segment, just for this fight. Millz, what's happening? You're on mute there, Millz. Maybe you have to sign out, sign back in again. Sometimes that'll correct it there. We'll just set up the fights here. UFC 304 from Manchester, United Kingdom. So check those start times, no doubt. You there, back? You back, Millz?
What's going on, Tony? How are you doing today?
Everything's going great. All right, here we go. Got you for this fight because I know you're tracking some of the fights that are going on as we speak. We go to lightweight division. This is the pay-per-view card here between King Green and Paddy Pimblett.
Yeah, man, there's some good fights going on this week, okay? UFC 304 is headed to London, okay? And just to give you guys the time start, they're going to be kicking off those fights at 12 a.m. in the morning, their time, just to please all the fans over here at the United States. So you have certain fighters that's going to be fighting at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, okay? So you got to keep that, into some of your capping if you guys are, betting on some of these U.S. fighters and stuff. So with that being said, they got 20 fights going on right now at London for the Cage Warrior scene. That's the up-and-coming promotion that pretty much feed all the London, England fighters to the UFC. The reason why I'm mentioning that is because on this UFC card going on this week, you got about 9 alumni fighting from that promotion from Cage Warriors. And this is one on this card, man. Paddy Pimblett is a former Cage Warrior star. Came over to the UFC. I think he's about 5-0 right now. Got to see him fight live. He's a fighter that he has a big following because of his name, because of what he does, because of his brand. His fighting skills is not all the way there to where you would think that, the average fighter would be that's getting this type of push from the company. Hence me the reason why I'm going with King Green in this spot, man. This is a UFC veteran that's been fighting in the UFC for over 12 years now. The way that he strikes, he goes out there fighter was down. He averages about 6.5 strikes per minute. In this type of division, there's not a lot of fighters putting up the volume like that. This is the lowest that Bobby King Green has been as a favorite in his fights. And the money is coming in on Patty Pimblett because he's fighting in his backyard too. So I gotta go with King Green in this spot. I played him at a -120. He's all the way down, to a -115 in this one. And I actually think that he will be able to get the finish. So I will be sprinkling on him to win in round 3 as well. And that's a big plus money price tag, like plus 1,400 on some books, and some got it at plus 2,200.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you to on this one, because when you are going into foreign ground into someone's home, you got to knock them out. You got to end it. You can't let it get to the cards.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be hard. All right, it's going to be hard to get any, decision when you're fighting a fighter like Patty Pimblett, just because, he's the Barstool board. He's the one that they sponsored and they back. And I was at his fight live versus Jared Gordon in a fight that everybody thought that he lost. But if you were at the event, you might have seen a case for it to say that Patty Pimblett won. Long story short, Dana White was standing right in front of the Barstool president right there in the crowd, telling him right before the judges read the scorecards, hey, I got you. There was no way they were going to let him lose. But that was back then. And he's on his last fight in the UFC contract. Usually when you're on your last fight, you usually want to re-sign before anything could go bad or get worse, right? And he hasn't done that yet. So I think this is a spot for King Green to come through. And just hearing some stuff about Patty Pimblett in media days, his manager was going to pull him out the fight 6 weeks ago because his mind wasn't right. And he's one of those fighters that kind of, deals with mental health issues. And, he was thinking about pulling out the fight 6 weeks ago. Now he's speaking about that at Media Day, opening up, Pandora's book. So, yeah, man, I like King Green in the spot. And like I said, he opened at a -160. I hopped on way early then because I just thought that he was going to get slammed. And I just thought this was an 85% fight that he could win. When it came down to -120, I hopped back in. I doubled up like double McGum.
There you go. Big play there for Green going against the move here for the hometown fighter here. Okay, so of course we'll let you go here just 1 second. I know you're watching Cage Wars. Any pick from that card?
So yes, I do. I like the main event. And then I like Mason Jones in the co-main event as well. You could do a little rundown though, Tony, if you got the main card up or anything like that.
All right, we'll do the main card. I got the main card right here, so let's go ahead and get to the main card. A little rundown here with Millz. We'll just cover the main event card, the pay-per-view card, the fights that'll be on pay-per-view here. UFC from Manchester, England here. Let me see if we can get to the, all right, let's see. We're going to get to the 10 Eastern starts here. We'll start at the top here. Your heavyweight interim title bout here between Aspinall and Blades. In this one, we see a big line here. Aspinall 392, total 1.5.
Man, this is going to be a rematch. And guess what, Tony? The guy who won the fight is plus 305 underdog.
Wow.
The reason why is because Tom Aspinall threw a second kick and broke his leg. That's it. So he ended the fight real quick because he broke his leg on a freak injury. In this one, though, I like Tom Aspinall. He's a fighter I usually always bet to win inside the distance. Former Cage Warrior fighter in here. But that line with Curtis Blades at that plus money price tag, it's enticing. And I would say put some money on Curtis Blades at that price tag because there's no way he should be a plus 300 underdog against Tom Aspinall because Tom Aspinall hasn't shown that he can go past the third round in fights. And Curtis Blades, if he wins this fight, he's going to be the interim heavyweight champion fighting the winner of John Jones and Stipe. And this is like the second or third time that, Curtis Blades had that opportunity pretty much to be champion, and this is his last time. And he's a heavyweight fighter. He has the most takedowns in the whole UFC, but the thing is he doesn't do that no more. As you can see, I'm kind of making a case for Curtis Blades just off of the odds and everything. So gambling wise, I would say the odds in favor for Curtis Blades, but I think, and I'm going to be putting my money on Tom Aspinall to win inside the distance.
Inside the distance there in the main event here for UFC. 304 from England. All right, let's continue here on this rundown here. As we'll take a look at this one here in the looks like it is also part of the pay-per-view card. Leon Edwards and Bill Muhammad here, welterweight title belt. Edwards favorite here, big 253 total 4.5.
Yeah, man, it's another rematch that happened. These fighters fought about 2 years ago. And in the second round, Leon Edwards poked Bilal Muhammad in the eye, and they couldn't continue. They canceled the fight. Got to give both these fighters their accolades and flowers, man. I mean, Leon Edwards, I think, is on an 11-fight win streak, and I think Bilal Muhammad's on a 9-fight win streak. Both these guys had to wait their time before they can fight for that belt. The reason why is because their fighting style ain't nothing to pleasing. Nothing that you're going to be like, hey, did you just see that Leon Edwards fight? Probably people didn't even know that he's been the champion for like a year and a half now. You know, it's just that type of fighting style that they got. When it comes down to the betting wise, I like Bilal Muhammad in this spot. I think that he can get those takedowns and make this a way closer fight, even though it is going to be in Leon Edwards' backyard. I like Bilal Muhammad, and I think it's his time too as well. And the striking, he's one of those fighters that make adjustments as the fight goes. Round 1, he's losing this way. Round 2, he's going to figure it out a different way. Round 3, he's going to change it up if that ain't working. Round 4, he's going to do something else. He's not going to go in there with the same game plan. His coaches and his team don't let him do that. And I think he's going to be getting that belt. He's the first Palestinian fighter in the UFC fighting for that belt. And I think we're going to have a new champ and new.
There you go, the dog there from Millz in that one. All right, let's continue here on our rundown as we go here. This is England versus Brazil. Christian Duncan and Gregory Rodriguez. We see Duncan favored $1.41, total 1.5.
Yeah, former Cage Warrior fighters and Christian Leroy Duncan. I think he has about 2 or 3 fights now in the UFC. I'll just give you guys what I like about him. He's a C-plus version of John Jones back in the day at light heavyweight. The way that he moves, he does spinning elbows, he does flying knees, the way that he strikes, the way that he punches, the way that he switch stance, the jumping flying knees, everything that he does resembles John Jones, minus that one death blow in the wrestling, okay? So I give him a C-plus version of John Jones. The reason why, too, is because the frame are the same. So I guarantee when he was watching tape over there at London, he was probably mimicking John Jones. Gregory Rodriguez is a fighter that kind of keeps his hands out there. Low. You know, I make money with him in his past fights in there. If he does the wrestling, that would be his path to victory. I'll play Christian Leroy Duncan on a minus 130.
All right, there you go. We got one final game, a fight here to preview here in the pay-per-view card. Arnold Allen and you got Chikadze here, England versus the country of Georgia. We've got in this one, Allen favored 220, total 2.5.
Yeah, I love the over in this spot. Over 2.5 is the best bet. Fight goes a distance. It's definitely a play in here. When it comes down to it, both these guys are kind of similar when it comes down to their records, and it comes down to kind of their fighting styles a little bit. I think the line is off in here. I'm gonna just let that be known right there. I think Giga, does have a path to victory to win in here. I'm going with Giga, man. I'm going with Giga Chikadze in this one. Yeah, I just got to go with it, man. I actually think at those lines and the odds and everything, they're way off, And Giga, he hasn't really lost to too many fighters in the UFC. And Arnold Allen, he doesn't push the pace all throughout the fight. He's a fighter that usually would take that first round off. And, taking that first round off, Giga has this kick. It's called the Giga kick. He kicks you in that liver, and everything just drops. So I think I'm leaning the dog, man. On the pick, I was going with Arnold Allen and everything, but as I look at it now, getting closer to the betting window, I think, I'll be going with the dog in that one.
There we go. We got the rundown here from Millz, the pay-per-view card here from UFC 304 for Manchester, United Kingdom. They're going to fight late night here. It's over here in prime time. So check out the 10 Eastern time for that main event card. All right, Millz, everybody know what's going on over at the Pig Dogs YouTube channel. Of course, the Millz is a content producer there, a lot of specializing in UFC, MMA, as well as in the prop shop. What's happening over there on the Pig Dogs YouTube?
Yeah, man. So we got everything going on over there. The UFC rundown video just came out yesterday with you guys. Went over all 14 fights on there. Gave you guys a parlay to get paid too. We're back to back. I think this is the 4th week that we just hit. With that being said, you know how you do that. You mention it, then you lose that one. So, hey, be careful on that. But, besides that, though, we got the prop shop dropping daily out there for you guys, going over the best MLB props for you guys, going over the best WNBA props for you guys. Then we got the UFC tier videos. We're going through every single fighter in all the divisions, letting you know exactly how they rank. One of the heavyweights that we did the video for is Fight Now, Tom Aspinall. We ranked him the top 2 heavyweight, only number 1, only behind John Jones. So if you guys want to see that, check that out on the Pick Dogs video. Just type it in on the Pick. Just go on the channel, type in UFC tier video on the little YouTube, and you'll see it, man. It's a nice little watch too. Besides that, make sure you guys hit that like, hit that subscribe, so you know when we go live.
That's right, guys. Like, subscribe, set notifications so when Millz drops those videos on his prop shop and MMA, you get it right away. All right, Millz, as always, great having your show. Have yourself a great evening, and we'll catch up with you again next week.
All right, Tony, man, you guys have a wonderful night tonight.
You got it. Millz Young here on the Drive to will continue here on the show, guys. Dodgers have closed it out. They win the game against the Giants. What have I told you guys? That submarine guy from the Giants sucks. Well, he gave the 2 home runs in a row there to the Dodgers in the 8th inning. I still don't know how he is still on that bullpen, or you put him into high leverage situations. It doesn't make sense to me. But hey, take advantage of it in that going against them. Going against the Giants. Giants have been a terrible road team this year, losing 3 or 4, I think, in this series against the Dodgers. All right, let's continue here on the drive-through. Wayne Scott is up next. Catch him over at Pick Dog Stream. We'll bring him in right now. Wayne, what's happening?
Going on, Tony T? Everything's going good with me today.
All right, let's get back to this screen. We've covered baseball already in a little bit, but we're going back to college football here with Wayne. We're going to the ACC.
Yes, sir. And I like what Virginia Tech has going on dating back from last season. They were 7-6 last season, 5-3 in the conference. This will be their head coach's 3rd year under Realm. Normally takes about 2-3 years to get the guys that you want in, start developing. I've seen that turn around the corner. He's a defensive coach. He's coming from Penn State. He was there for 8 years as a defensive coordinator, as a linebacker coach. That's Brent Pride that I'm talking about. And we have a strong returning production. That's one of the things I look to see when we're talking about college teams. They didn't lose a lot. They gained depth. They are the 24th ranked in the transfer portal and 31st ranked in the freshman class. So they like I'm trying to say, they brought in more than they lost. They're returning 4 out of 5 of their offensive linemen. That was one of their biggest downfalls last season. They have a lot of improvement, but a lot of chemistry coming back. And as I mentioned, the 31st ranked in freshman class, a lot of those guys were offensive linemen that they brought in. Another reason I'm so high on this team is because of their quarterback, Kyron Drones, 6'2", 234, Baylor transfer. His 2nd year under this offense, 17 touchdowns and 3 interceptions, 800 rushing yards coming off of last season. Didn't turn the ball over. Very effective quarterback. I love my dual threat quarterbacks, but I love dual threat quarterbacks that throw first. They also brought in a transfer backup, because one thing you need is depth. People get injured all the time in football. Transfer backup from UCLA, Colin Schlee, a notable guy, a guy who's highly touted, and a guy who will be able to fill in if anything does go down with Kyron Drones. I mentioned their offensive line. They're bringing back a running back. They're bringing back the 2 wide receivers who had up to 600 yards. So one of their downfalls last season was their offense. I do expect their offense to be a lot better this year. Virginia Tech, if you don't know Virginia Tech, they're known for having a top 10 home stadium, and they're known for their defense. Their defense has been down as their whole school has been down over the last few years, but when they're in their heyday, they were known for their defense, and their defense is starting to get picked back up. They're bringing back their best defensive lineman. They have a transfer defensive lineman coming in from Alabama, from Oklahoma, UNC. Lots of depth coming in on this D lineman, returning both linebackers. Also bringing in a transfer linebacker from Miami, returning both starting corners. They lost a lot of corners, but they're returning both of their starting corners and something I'd like to see in their safety. I think they will be a top 3 defense in the ACC. With all that being said, with the amount of guys they're returning, with the depth, with the chemistry, with this coach being in his 3rd year, with him being on the cusp of an 8 to 9 win season last year, just a few points shy from that. I think this win total is set too low at the 8.5, and I think Virginia Tech can get over this number and win total.
All right, Wayne says go over 8.5 here. They get to 9 here. It's 9-3 regular season. And of course, in their schedule in the ACC, they play 8 conference games, 4 in the non-conference. They open up. They have 2 non-conference games on the road. They open up at Vandy. Vandy has been really a downtrodden team. Then home to Marshall. Marshall kind of up and down. We'll see what they look like this year. Old Dominion can give
2 wins.
Old Dominion's a team that's given them trouble in the past. And then they host Rutgers before the start of conference play.
Rutgers, as Tony just ran down them first 4 games, I can see them being 4-0. Rutgers will be my maybe, but I'm gonna lean for a win in there. So we're going 4-0 coming into the at Miami. The 2 shoe-in losses, and it's nothing to shoe-in, but in my mind, the 2 shoe-in losses would be Miami and Clemson. But I think that game is a lot closer, and I think they do have a chance to win those games. I think Virginia Tech, if all goes well and the depth plays and these guys play to their potential, I think they can be a 2-loss season with the Virginia Tech team. If you want to keep going through the games, I kind of give you who I think the win or loss against, but.
All right, let's do that. So we got after Rutgers, they open at Miami, which you said is going to, that's a rough spot. And then it's interesting, they got back-to-back road games. After Miami, they go all the way, they go back home, then they go all the way to the West Coast to face Stanford. We know Stanford's a down team, but this is kind of a bad spot here for Virginia Tech in that spot.
Man, you hit it right on the head, and I disagree with you, Tony. I agree with you in the sense that they were a bad team, but I think the Stanford team will be better than people think coming into next season. And I agree with you that this is a bad spot. Playing Miami at Miami, then going all the way to Stanford. I do think that Virginia Tech can win this game, but it's a bad spot for them. It's a game. It's more of a toss-up game because of the spot, not that I feel like Stanford is the better team.
Home games then against you get a bye week, and then you got home games against BC and Georgia Tech back to back.
Win. Like I mentioned last season, this team has done way better in conference, and Boston College traditionally plays them tough. Georgia Tech, they normally smack around, but the fact that they get to play both of these teams at home, if you don't know a lot about Virginia Tech and their home field advantage, this is one of the loudest stadiums and hardest stadiums to snatch a win out of. So coming off a bye and being able to play these 2 teams, play Boston College at home, I think that's a win for them in Boston College and a win in Georgia Tech.
All right, then comes a tricky spot with your look ahead, possibly spot. You're at Syracuse, and then you get a bye week after that. So that can't be you cannot call that a look ahead spot because you got a bye week after the Syracuse game, and then you host Clemson. Sorry, my mistake.
Yeah.
It is a look ahead because there's no bye week there. It's Syracuse, and then it's home to Clemson. So that could be a spot there at Syracuse. Could be a tricky spot.
Most definitely, Tony. You hit it right on the head. You're reading this schedule exactly how I'm kind of reading it. Now, kind of the same thing that I said about Stanford. I do think Syracuse is not a bad team, but I do think that this Virginia Tech team is better than Syracuse. But with Clemson being ahead, I do feel like this is a look-ahead spot. But I like the fact that they are playing that game at home, that they get to have Syracuse at home. That home field advantage plays a major role for some of these teams in college football, and Virginia Tech is one of them.
Okay, then they get their bye week, and then they close it out with a road game at Duke. Then they come home and face their rival in Virginia, which sometimes can be surprising. You never know what you get in that game.
Yeah, that Duke game, I have a 50-50 game, but I like their chances because of the bye week. And Virginia, I got marked as a win.
There you go. You got Wayne's rundown here on the 12-game schedule here from Virginia Tech to go over 8.5. They get to 9-3. from Wayne Scott. All right, Wayne, we got your plays here. Let's take a look over at pick. You can also get Wayne's a rundown for group stages here from the Olympic Games. Check yesterday's drive-through. All right, Wayne, let's take a look over at pick.com for nice action. Couple on the board in prime time. Wayne having a great baseball year. Christmas in July. What do you have going over at the site?
Yeah, just one more play today, 1-1 on the early plays. It's not for sale, it's for my long term. So if you're one of them people that like high volume, long term is always the way to go. 3-day, 7-day, and 30-day pass. If you're a game by game guy, my best bet has a win off today. It was a loser with Cleveland. I love the spot, but they just couldn't get no runs going. But outside of that, it's still expecting a profitable day. So that's where the long-term package comes in line. Sometimes the game of the day, the game that I like the most might not hit, but I'm still most of the time having a profitable day in that situation, even with a loser. As Tony and these guys been advertising, the Christmas in July is the time to get the yearly pass. You get all my plays for the best bang for your buck, and you can go out there and use that promo code PICK and grab all my plays for the year. And I had Monster Day yesterday, 5 games, but plus 760 units. A day like that, off gate would have paid for a whole year worth of picks. So just something to look into and something to remind you guys.
That's right, guys. Got a board with Wayne Scott over at Pick Dollars Premium. And you see the great results in baseball. That 1-year pass has been greatly reduced. And, of course, you can apply the promo code PICK at checkout to save another 15% off. Right, Wayne, as always, great having your show. Have a great night. We'll catch up with you again next week. But, of course, we can catch up with your boxing picks as well. Sometimes you'll make occasional visits to the weekend show.
Yes, sir. I've been off the weekend show probably about three coming on 4 weeks now. Been having some things scheduled this weekend. But starting maybe, if not this Sunday, by next week, I will be back on the weekend shows. I've not forgot about you. I love doing the weekend show with these guys and chatting over the plays for the weekend. But I haven't been a little vacant from there. Just letting you guys know I will be back on there soon. Boxing cards, some fire cards in the lineup, but no fire cards as far as next week or this week right now. So when I have that for you guys, I will be first. You'll be first to hear it right here on the show on the drive-through.
There you go. Wayne Scott here on the drive-through. We'll catch him next week. We'll have some Olympic picks. He's also keeping an eye on the track events as well. All right. Catch you next week, Wayne.
All right. Appreciate you for having me, Tony T. Good luck with all your picks, Picked Off family.
All right, Wayne Scott here on the drive-through. Let's continue here on the drive-through, guys. We're going to go to the recap, and then we'll get with my pick here, as we're going to start in about 10 minutes here. As I kind of wondered why they started this rugby so early before the Olympic Games, because U.S. isn't any good at it, and they're going to get knocked out before the Olympic Games start. That's probably why they wanted to do that. Just get it out of the way. We don't need to hear about it. We don't need to see it. So they'll be knocked out here in the quarterfinals against Australia. All right, let's continue here on the drive-through. Let's get to the recap. Kirk Stuart, like LeBron James, in the Olympics MVP. I think it was almost a little plus 350, if I remember. Now, McMordie, we're going CFL, Saskatchewan +4, +3.5, +3 to your line shopping. Shane was on Kansas over 8 wins. Millz, Bobby Green, $1.20. Wayne here on Virginia Tech over 8.5 wins. I'll be on the Braves, Mets under 7.5. The one I like the most here is I got to go with Shane's pick there with Kansas. Their schedule just looks favorable to get to 9. In my opinion, because they're playing all the bottom teams in the conference pretty much is on their schedule. All right, let's get to my pick here, and we'll get you rolling here. Of course, we didn't have a chat pick today, limited card, but if you guys can go ahead and put your show picks in there, you can do that. We'll announce them at the end of the show. All right, let's get to the games here. Baseball, we told you we covered baseball toward the end, and I'll get you both games tonight in the primetime hour. I did not have a premium in the night game. I did have a premium on this one. All right, let's go down to of course, I should have had a premium there, but I didn't. All right, let's continue on here. This is the game here. Braves and Mets. We're going under 7 now. It's 7, is it? Or is it 7.5? Let's double check this right here again. The sharpest book in the world says, there's some 7.5, so you can grade me at 7.5 there. All right, let's take a look at this one. We know it's going to be Sale on the mound. It's not Morton. Morton goes tomorrow, but man, Atlanta is just struggling hitting the baseball. 227 on the road. But the Atlanta pitching staff on the road is holding opponents at 225. Mets pitching staff have been strong at home, holding opponents at 221 hitting. The Braves bullpen has been solid. And of course, we know the Braves, they've been an under machine. This year on the road, 26-18 to the under. We'll go under 7.5 here with the Braves and the Mets. And why not? Let's go ahead and get this. I was surprised no one covered this game. I thought no one covered baseball today, but I'll get you this one here. It's Athletics and Angels head-to-head in this one. Let me verify the pitchers. Yes, it's going to be Ross Stripling and Kenny Rosenberg on the mound tonight. Stripling is you're going to have to hide. You're going to have to really hide your close your eyes, hold your nose in this one because I'm looking at Oakland in this spot. I know Stripling's had a lot of struggles, horrible record. But if I recall, let's see here, his FIP is only 3.98, so his expected ERA is fairly respectable at 3.98. And the Athletics bats have been hot. And it's hot out here in Southern California, by the way. Past 10 games, Oakland hitting about 290, putting up 7 runs a game. Angels in this period 220. But when you look at Rosenberg, boy, he has been in the minor leagues the past 9 seasons. Has had a cup of coffee the past 3 seasons in the majors. LA bullpen ERA over 4. And when the Angels are lined at this number between minus 117 and plus 113, they're 10-25, nearly a minus 15 unit loss. When Oakland, you get Oakland a little bit of a favorite here at minus 102 to minus 132. The Oakland Athletics 7-1, reducing 5.3 units, so returning 5.3 units. So we'll look at the Angels here. We're not going to Angels. We're looking at Oakland here at minus the 101 in this spot. Against the Athletics. So we got to the baseball. As we told you, we covered the baseball here at the end of the show. We got to the recap, and now you guys can put your show picks in there. That's going to do it for this edition of the Drive. We'll be back again tomorrow live at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll do it all again. Bring our cappers, some pick dogs, and sports chat plays, and we'll give you a place for in real time. Remember to always get started with that morning show. We're live here at 6 p.m. We're live here in the mornings here at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time with Mitch, Jay, and Chris. Of course, all the great video series here on Pick Dogs. Mitch's 7 picks in 5 minutes. Main tools. Roundtable discussion with professionals also is first 5 up there for you as well from Mitch. And of course, Kirk Stuart coming in with his MLB totals. And of course, his soccer as he produces soccer videos with Goran. Bill McMordie with his all access video. And of course, Millz with his rundown from props rundown, UFC rundown as well. Wayne with boxing. Of course, Ron Romnelli with his Major League Baseball rundown. So guys, make sure you like, subscribe, set those notifications, be notified here when these picks come in. All right, let's go look at the show picks for today from you folks in the chat. We got Ron Crawford likes the Angels here, minus 116 from Ron Crawford. Do I like the Mets here, plus 1? I like the total more than I like the side. No opinion there on the side. I like the total there in that game. UFC, yeah, there are a lot of fighters, yes, that's right. Blake's saying there's really a lot of fighters now in UFC, no doubt about that. Justin 1890 likes the Mets money line in this one, and and of course I went under in that game with the Braves and Mets. All right, we got you covered here with the show picks. Last call. All right, that's gonna do it. So let's bring in our crew from tonight.